Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Inning. I'm Jack Haskell, joined by Gavin Watson. Hi, Gavin. It's been a minute.
Hi, Jack. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but excited to get back on Inside the Inning and talk some baseball again here.
Me as well. We'd be remiss if we didn't address our hiatus per se. To be completely honest, it just comes down to school is out for the summer. Gavin lives in Buffalo. I live in Syracuse. Gavin wasn't even in Buffalo this summer. He got the very unique opportunity to spend it in Minnesota. We both just had a lot going on, internships, jobs, but we're back on campus. We're excited for the new year. We're ready to talk some baseball.
I'm ready. We gotta dive into some of these Yankees and some of this news around the game of baseball right now, and that should be exciting to talk about here today.
We're ready to talk some Yankees baseball specifically, but before we dive into that, just want to address it out of the gate. Not feeling too hot today. If you can't tell already, you'll be able to tell by the end of the episode. But nonetheless, another guy that hasn't been feeling too hot as of late, Anthony Volpe. And at first we thought he was just going through a little bit of a slump, but we found out that he's had a torn labrum in his left shoulder since May.
Yeah, he's had a bad year all season long for the Yankees this year. Offensively, defensively, it doesn't really matter. And, we've seen in the Yankees starting to give Anthony Volpe some days off, some rest days here or there. And, now with coming out that he had an MRI, had a cortisone shot on that injury, I don't know. Does this change anything for the Yankees? Or do you think this is going to do you think they'll still roll him out there every day come playoff time? Or do you think that this rest is kind of them trying to figure out where to go with this shortstop position and what they should do?
I'm going to be completely honest, and I'll dive into it a little more later on. I don't think he should be the everyday shortstop out there. He's lost all confidence he's had. He's getting booed out of the stadium every at-bat. He's making so many defensive errors, which he's supposed to be a defensive specialist. And if he's not healthy, next man up. It's the next man up. But then again, with Aaron Boone as the Yankees manager, you never know what the lineup's going to look like.
Well, and I mean, this is the Yankees organization has had some experience with that mentality of kind of that next man up. 2017, they really focused on that message, the next man up, with those baby boomers and Gary Sanchez and Didi Gregorius, that kind of new age of Yankee. But, the thing to me that always has been the thing with Volpe is that his job is tough now because they passed up on guys like Corey Seager. They passed up on guys like Bryce Harper. They passed up on Trey Turner, all these guys, because he was supposed to be the next Derek Jeter. He grew up around the city, around Derek Jeter, around this Derek Jeter-led Yankees team, and him struggling. I mean, he was supposed to be that mainstay in New York, and now you're right. He's getting booed out of stadiums, and you start to worry that hopefully this doesn't turn into another Joey Gallo situation where it's like, the city just turns on him and it goes from bad to worse.
And the Jeter comparisons don't help him at all. There's only one Derek Jeter. There will never be another Derek Jeter. But Anthony Volpe has had to try to live up to those comparisons for his entire career. And you can argue in year one, maybe, but these last 2 years, he's been struggling.
Well, and that's a very similar case in point is you turn the page a little bit, and Jason Dominguez, who was a guy who also had a ton of expectations. I mean, they compared him to Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle. They compared him to everyone, and maybe he hasn't gotten to that ceiling as much as people thought he would have, but he still has been productive in his limited time with the Yankees this season. And I think that, maybe this leads into a whole different conversation, maybe one that we haven't even prepped for today necessarily, but as an organization, I just wonder if the expectations that come with playing in New York, come with playing as a Yankee, come with just having that New York media, if it puts too much pressure on these players. I mean, Dominguez was compared, like I said, to Mickey Mantle. Volpe was compared to the next Jeter. I feel almost the organization should kind of take a step back, and the media has to take a step back and say, let's stop making these comparisons before these guys even take a step on the field, because you're setting the expectation way too high for them, I feel like.
And to give all those guys the benefit of the doubt, playing in the New York market is extremely difficult. If you make the slightest of mistake, you're never going to hear the end of it for the rest of the season. If you play good, you're rewarded, but if you play bad, it's not great. But more on Dominguez in a minute. But something to note, The Yankees sat Anthony Volpe on September 10th and September 11th, and this was the first time in Volpe's career that he did not play in 2 straight games
Wow.
in favor of Jose Caballero, which I am very high on Jose Caballero. And that leads to the question of who is the Yankees' postseason shortstop? Is it Anthony Volpe? Do they keep him in the lineup, or do they take a chance on Jose Caballero?
I mean, I think it depends on first off, how Anthony Volpe is feeling. I mean, obviously he's played through a large part of the season. The injury came on May 3rd, so he's played a bulk of that season still with the injury. But to me, I feel like this is going to be a classic move of the Yankees where, hey, we got 3 weeks left of the season, 3 weeks left of the season. Let's shut down Volpe a little bit, give him a little bit of a rest going into the playoffs, maybe give him some time to heal up, play some other guys, maybe start to formulate a plan of, hey, if he doesn't heal back up to where we think he can get to, who's our shortstop? But I think at the end of the day, the Yankees and the way that they have always made the decisions and roster decisions, it's going to be Volpe. He's been the shortstop all year long. Knowing the New York Yankees and their thinking, it'll be Anthony Volpe in there. But I guess, do you feel the same way, or do you think, I guess it's kind of a two-pronged question, because I think it's what do you want, but then what do you actually think is going to happen?
I watched the entirety of the September 11th game, which was last night at time of filming. Jose Caballero looked incredible. He turned a 4-6-3 double play with ease. I think he had 2 stolen bases, if I'm not mistaken. He hit 2 for 3. He was phenomenal. He was everything the Yankees needed last night. So I think I want Jose Caballero as my postseason shortstop.
Well, and I wonder if too, because there's been times in the playoffs where this has happened, but I wonder if it's going to be a play the hot hand. Who is the better guy that day? Matchups. Like, we know how much the Yankees love analytics. We know all about their analytic department and how they help make the lineup every night. So, I mean, yes, I think it's going to be more of a hot hand thing. If you ask me today who I think the starting shortstop game 1 of the playoffs is going to be, it's going to be Anthony Volpe, because that's how the New York Yankees work. But I could see them playing a hot hand and playing a matchup game a little bit more.
And I'll say this, there is absolutely a conversation to be had about Jose Caballero coming off the bench because of how valuable of a base runner that he is. Because you've got guys like Giancarlo Stanton, which, big G on October, he's going to get on base very frequently. Even guys like Aaron Judge, if you really need to go to speed and you know you won't need to use him in the game anymore.
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt, all of those guys, he can come in and pinch run for easily. But man, watching Jose Caballero play defense and even seeing him hit as of late, he's almost looking too good to not start.
Well, that's the thing, is that the defensive options that the Yankees also have make it so it's tough, that because, like you said, you talked about it a little earlier, that Volpe is supposed to be this defensive guy, but we really haven't seen that out of him in the last few seasons. I mean, 4 FRV, that's Fangraph's defensive metrics, that's much, much better than Anthony Volpe's, who leads the league in errors with 19. So,
who would have thought at the beginning of the season that we would be saying that Anthony Volpe is leading the MLB in errors?
I think I could definitely see the Yankees too just rolling out Volpe for the first 5-6 innings of a game, and then they have the lead, pulling them out and putting Caballero in there and not having to worry about the defense. I could see that being a solution for the Yankees, but I don't think there's a world that's out there where Anthony Volpe isn't the starting shortstop, at least through the end of the season.
I don't hate the idea of playing them half and half, but we'll see then again, because if being a Yankees fan has taught me anything, it's that I don't even think Boone knows what the lineup's going to be until the day
I
of.
mean, you hear the story from John Meter all the time where they talk about that. It's almost like Boone makes the lineup and then goes to the analytic crew and they tell him what he's allowed. They check their answers and see what they want to actually do. And most of the time, I think Boone's going to lose out on those analytical conversations, unfortunately. So,
nonetheless, moving on to other Yankees news, Anthony Rizzo announced his retirement just a few days after he was seen at Yankee Stadium. I believe he was on MLB Network the other night talking to Jazz post game, saying, "Tell all the guys I said hi and I miss them." Really just tugging at the heartstrings.
You know, Anthony Rizzo it was always one of my favorite players growing up. I'm a lefty first baseman. He's a lefty first baseman. Anthony Rizzo was one of the greatest first basemen in Cubs history, and that has a lot of weight to it. But I mean, Anthony Rizzo, what he brought to the city of Chicago, bringing home that first World Series title, and just you talk about how great of a baseball player is. This guy's an even better guy too. I mean, I believe he won the Roberto Clemente Award. He's just, he's just one of a kind guy. I mean, in his career, 261 batting average, 300 home runs. In his 3 years in New York, 231, 52 home runs, 47 doubles. I mean, this is a guy who had a lot of value. And I think one of the funnier stories about, Anthony Rizzo throughout his career is he gets hit by pitches like none other. That guy loved to sit right on the plate.
And he took it like a champ every single time.
He finished his Yankee career with 44 hit by pitches, and he finished 8th all time in hit by pitches, including in his first year in New York, he was 4th in all of baseball in hit by pitches with 23. Anthony Rizzo knew exactly when he needed to get hit by pitch, knew when he needed to spark something, and we had to talk about Anthony Rizzo on here, just because I think the way he plays baseball is, it's not as prevalent anymore. I don't think guys are wanting to step in front of 100 from Skeens, which fair. So, but yeah, Anthony Rizzo, he's retiring, but he's gonna stay in the game of baseball. It's already announced he's gonna stick with the Cubs, do some work in their organization, and I'm sure we'll see him on MLB Network a ton. And what a great personality to have on there as well.
A great career for Rizzo. He'll get to retire as a Chicago Cub. He's going to sign a one-day contract so he can retire as a Chicago Cub, as I mentioned. It's unfortunate that a lot of Yankees fans are going to only remember him for not covering first base in the World Series. But as you've mentioned, he was just so much more than that.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who went through so much just to be able to play. You just wish him the best, and you hope that he does some great work with the Cubs organization, and I know he's going to be an advisor there. So, I think Anthony Rizzo has a lot of exciting opportunities in baseball ahead of him, for sure.
Now, looking ahead to the postseason, and we'll dive a little more deeper into this next week.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees have a real problem on who their third starting pitcher is going to be in the postseason. You have Cam Schlittler, who 2 months ago he was in Scranton, and just last night not only pitched the September 11th game, but pitched in front of the current sitting president.
Yeah.
You have Luis Gil, who he's coming off that lat strain, missed most of this season. He's had a lot of difficulty finding the zone, but when he's been able to find the zone, he's been electric. And then you have Will Warren, who's been a really welcome surprise this season. He wasn't really expected to be in the rotation at all, as was Schlittler, but he started, I think, 30 games, or at least his next start will be 30 games. And he, besides that one game in Los Angeles, I will say, he's been solid for the Yankees.
Yeah, I think Schlittler, I would love to see him more in a bullpen role. I mean, when you throw as hard as that guy can throw, I just think it makes sense to put him out in the bullpen. I know there's discussion in another organization, the Dodgers, about doing something similar with Ohtani. I mean, I think he's so valuable, you can't just leave him off the roster, but I don't think I want my rookie who came up midway through the season to start in the playoffs either. I want to be able to coach him through his warm-up, be able to kind of pick our role of where we want to put him into. But to me, I would lean on Luis Gil. He's had some experience in the playoffs. He's had the most experience of those three guys. I mean, Will Warren has had some time up and down in previous seasons, but a lot of the time they were just kind of spot starts here or there where the Yankees needed him. I think Luis Gil, to me, feels like the best option. I know he's coming off an injury. I know he probably hasn't found exactly his way like he was before the injury, but I just think experience rules over everything else, and that's what, to me, is the most important thing.
I think the general consensus between Yankees fans are that Will Warren is the odd man out, so it's really down between Cam Schlittler and Luis Gil. And A lot of people are saying Heel has the experience, Heel can deal when he's on his game, and then you have Schlittler. He's been fantastic. He hasn't had too many bad starts. So it's really going to come down, I think, to how they perform in
And
the last stretch of the season.
it very well could too, because I mean, Heel, you don't know what Heel's going to give you necessarily because of the injury. Is his stuff the same? Does he have the arm and the control that he had before? I don't know. Do they have him stretch out enough? There's all these questions that kind of lead into the playoffs, and unfortunately, when it gets time for October baseball, it really has to be the best guys, the guys who are hottest at that moment, who are the guys to be on the roster. And I think these last 2 weeks, however many starts, maybe that's 2-3 starts for each guy. It's basically a trial for who's going to be that starter in the playoffs, I think.
I wouldn't even necessarily be mad if they had Heel go the first 3 innings and then have Schlittler come out and pitch the next 3 and then go to the bullpen.
You could do that, and then that would definitely curtail the fact that Luis Heel might not be fully stretched out because of the injury, and then you don't have to worry about it. You can go tell both guys, hey, go give it all you got, and when you're done, we'll go take you out and put in a guy who throws 100 behind you. So I wouldn't be a bad idea for the Yankees, I don't think.
And then if you have Will Warren still on the roster, you have him to call to. You have Ryan Yarborough, who was phenomenal before he got injured earlier this season, and since he's come back, he pitched 5 1/3 inning last Friday and pitched 3 innings last night, earning the save for the Yankees. He's been really good too. So the Yankees have a lot of guys that can be the starting pitcher, but they have to find the starting pitcher.
Yeah, I think the role that Will Warren in Yarborough, I think Will Warren will probably, unfortunately, be the guy that almost a designated survivor. If a guy gets blown up, a guy gets, really shelled in a game, they can put in Will Warren and say, hey, go give us 6 innings. We don't want to use another arm. And I think Yarborough would be a similar-esque role of a guy. Maybe he didn't get blown up as much. The game's still in reach. Yarborough comes in and gives 3-4 innings, gives that bullpen a rest so that they're not covering 6 innings of baseball that first game. But that's where I kind of see Yarborough and Warren probably fitting in. That's kind of how Yarborough's always been used in his career. It'll be interesting to see if the Yankees switch that up in the playoffs. But Yarborough's always been kind of a multi-inning guy in the bullpen, or a guy who can give you super long starts if you need a spot start.
Or they can always throw Will Warren in the World Series game after 2 months of not pitching and let him give up a grand slam.
That could happen as well. And if before this year I would have told you there was no way that would have happened, but now, that's baseball. Anything can happen.
Full disclaimer, we here at Afterthought Sports have always been in support of Tim Hill being the one to come into the World Series game, not Nestor Cortez.
Yeah.
But I digress. Moving on to some news around the league. Kevin Gausman had a night for the Blue Jays. He threw a 9-strikeout, 2-hit game on just 100 pitches, 1 pitch shy of throwing a Maddox.
Yeah, for those who don't know what a Maddox game is, it's when you throw a complete game shutout in less than 100 pitches. We saw Tariq Skubal do it earlier this season. And, I mean, just what an impressive, time of the season Kevin Gausman is having. And, I mean, what a better time for the Blue Jays when they're leading the AL East right now. And what a better time for them to figure it out as an organization, as a team, than right now. I mean, 84-62 leading the division. And, I mean, Kevin Gausman had some shaky starts over the season. He's given up 6-7 runs a couple of times against some teams here, and he's really done a great job. His last 3 starts have looked very, very good. 7 innings, 8 innings, 9 innings. He's given up 2 runs total over 24 innings of work. I mean, Kevin Gausman has been electric, and that's good news for this Blue Jays squad.
Yeah, and you want to talk about somebody that's figured it out down the stretch. Aroldis Chapman having arguably the greatest season of his career at age 37.
Now, I know this story might be a little old, but I can't stop talking about it. I love this story so much. The story is that in spring training, Connor Wong was catching Chapman in a bullpen or a game, one of the two, and somewhere along the line, he hit inside fastball. Chapman hears the cue, throws an inside fastball, and it clicked in his brain that you can spot up pitches, apparently. This wasn't something he had just thrown it down the middle and his stuff moves so much and is so good, it didn't matter. So he goes up and the next day is like telling Connor Wong about this, and Connor Wong's like, "Yeah, let's try spotting it. Let's see if this works." Well, it's worked. In 55 and a third innings, he's allowed an ERA of 1.14 with 81 strikeouts, and I mean his last 3 full seasons, he's had 30 or more strikeouts in each of his last 3 seasons. So I don't understand how nobody over his illustrious MLB career, how nobody thought to tell the guy, throw it there.
Who would have thought that the reason Aroldis Chapman is going to pitch until he's 45 is because at age 37, he was like, it would probably be a good idea if I started learning how to aim my pitches.
I'm so shocked that nobody, like, thought about that. Like, nobody, like, said it to him and ever. Like, over all of his baseball life, no one ever thought to be like, hey, hit that.
Especially a guy like Matt Blake, who has been known for saving pitchers' careers. Never thought, I wonder if he knows to aim his pitches or not.
But I feel like he had so many command issues with the Yankees. That was one of the biggest things. Was like, yeah, he throws it 100, but half the time he doesn't know where it's going. And well, yeah, he didn't. He just throwing it.
Now, he's been so good this season, Gavin, that I argue he could be in Cy Young conversation the same way one Emmanuel Clase was.
Yeah, this is crazy. 2 years in a row where closers have really done a great job. And I mean, yeah, I don't think it's that crazy of an idea. I can't, recall exactly the streak, but I know at one point Chapman had a pretty lengthy scoreless streak of innings and into the 20s, I think. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think it would be that shocking. I would have to look at who some of the other nominees or potential candidates would be for the Cy Young, but I'm trying to think of somebody else in the AL who stuck out much as a guy.
He's not going to win it. He's not going to win.
Probably not, because the voters hate voting for relievers, unfortunately. But that's just the way the award is chosen.
But he definitely deserves to be in conversation for how good he has been, because this season he's just been unstoppable. I mean, he only just recently gave up his first hit in his last 50 batters or so, I think it was, which that in itself is unbelievable. But as a Yankees fan, I look forward to seeing what Chapman does in the postseason, because we know how good he's been in the postseason with a few appearances subtracted. But
sticking with the Yankees, I want to kind of move into one of our new segments here. Around the park, I want to highlight some of the cool promos from around minor league baseball. And I think this is one of the cooler promos we've seen. Somerset Patriots were playing the Reading Fightin' Phils. They both rebranded for the game. A little bit of restaurant themes for Tuesday's games. The Phils rebranded as the Reading Flapjacks, and the Yanks were the Jersey Diner. The Somerset Patriots were the Jersey Diners. There's the hats for both teams. I love it. I think they got to do more of this. Have more jerseys that are switch it up always. I mean, I know AAA baseball has had the Omo milk or whatever, the milk makers or the oat milkers, I think is what it is. And that is a promo that kind of switches teams throughout the years. But what is your thought on these jerseys? I love all the jerseys. I love it. Have fun with baseball.
The promos and the special uniforms and like the name changes, that's always been one of my favorite parts about minor league baseball. Being a Syracuse guy, the Syracuse Mets recently switched their name to the Syracuse Salt Potatoes for a little bit, which
love it.
I hope will be the name that they stick with when they rebrand in a year or so.
That's awesome. I love it.
If you're not from Syracuse, you've probably never even heard of a salt potato, but they're one of the greatest things on earth. I love me a good salt potato, and I can't wait for our dining hall to serve it the one time a year that they do. But no, I absolutely love that the minor league is able to have fun like that, and they've got the cool jerseys and the cool promotions. It's one of my favorite parts about minor league baseball.
And it's really, the players love it. I mean, the team I interned for over this summer, there was a stretch of like a week where we had different jerseys every day. And the day after those jerseys, when we went back to the normal jerseys, guys were like, oh, that's it? There's no more promotional jerseys? Like, guys love this. They when you're playing, 160 plus games a season, it's awesome. I mean, it changes up something. It changes up, just gives you something to look forward to the next day at the ballpark.
Yeah, the team that I interned for this summer we had custom-made USA jerseys
Ooh,
because
that's
we
cool.
always ended up playing on the 4th of July. And we wouldn't wear them until the 4th of July, but then after that, we liked them so much, I think we wore them in our
That's
championship
awesome.
series
Yeah.
game.
Like, why not? I mean, yeah, yeah. I love fun promos. I love fun jerseys. Anything to get people more involved with baseball. And sticking with the minor league baseball theme a little bit, we'll move to another segment. I'd like to stick around a little bit. We'll see if there's enough controversy for this, but ball or strike. I'll give kind of like a scandal from this week. We'll kind of just talk through it, maybe debate it if we have differing opinions. But the one I thought maybe we could focus on this week is Walker Buehler got DFA'd by the Boston Red Sox recently, signed with the Phillies. He was down in their minor league organization
Which
pitching.
I just want to point out the fact that he closed the World Series win.
Yeah.
And now he's
DFA'd and
pitching
playing
in the
minor
minor
league
leagues.
baseball.
Baseball is a wonderful sport. I'll say that much.
So Bueller has a gripe with the ABS system that they're using in Major League Baseball. He said he thinks it's inaccurate. Quote, I think it's inaccurate. I think in most of the stadiums it's not even on the plate. And he likes that, as you pitch in the game, you start to get a little bit more calls, maybe get a veteran zone for being a veteran. What is your take on ABS? Like, I think ABS is going to be a great thing. It's going to come to baseball one way or the other. But I think if the players are actually feeling that the home plate it's not accurate, then what's the point of all this? And maybe that's going to be your opinion as well. But
no, I have to agree with you about favoring ABS. I think the ABS is a long time coming, and it shouldn't have taken nearly this long to come to the major leagues. And I almost want to disagree with Walker Buehler by saying it may be faulty in the minor leagues right now because they're testing it out this season.
Yeah.
They're trying to see what works, what doesn't. So when it does come to the major leagues, it'll be almost pinpoint accurate.
I mean, I don't know if MLB hasn't said anything about this, but I mean, you'd prefer it to happen in AAA, Reading than in New York in Game 7 of the World Series.
Absolutely.
So I think get the kinks out, test this out, make sure that it's pinpoint accurate. I don't know. I think my only thing though is there can't be any question of if the ABS is accurate or not. It has to be right.
By the time it gets to the major leagues,
Yes.
everything has to be figured out. All the kinks have to be worked out. It has to be perfect.
So if there is actually kinks in this, then it should not come yet. I am in favor of ABS. I'm in favor of the challenge system, but it's got to be buttoned up and it's got to be done in a way that's good.
Because if that doesn't work, they're just going to be like, just get rid of umpiring altogether.
Yeah.
We'll call our own balls and strikes, and then we get a lockout.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think where we end today is maybe talking about a must-watch series. To me, I think the must-watch series this weekend is probably the same one for you. It's got to be Yankees-Red Sox. I mean, this is going to be quite a game. Two teams separated by half a game, second and third in the AL East. I mean, how could this not be a great series?
This series, in my opinion, is going to make or break the rest of the Yankee season. They have to take every single game of this series, but they can realistically only give one up. And I'm a little concerned of the Game 3 pitching matchup of Crochet and Warren because Warren against big market teams, he hasn't been fantastic versus Crochet. He's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball this year, and he might get a lot of run support with Warren on the mound for the Yankees, but the Yankees have to show up or they're just not going to be able to show up in the postseason.
Well, and the thing is this is going to be the toughest series the Yankees have in a week. It's Boston for 3, then Minnesota for 3, and then at Baltimore for 3. So you go to Boston, that's a good team out there. That's a good team on the road at Fenway, one of the tougher ballparks in all of baseball. But then at least you do get a little bit of some smaller market teams, maybe some teams who have been struggling, and the Orioles and the Orioles and the Twins. I mean, two teams who just haven't been great this season. So at least you have that to fall back on. Push all the chips in forward towards the Red Sox and put everything into trying to win these games and know that you could fall back on, a 3-game set versus the Twins or a 3-game set versus the Orioles.
Now, I'm going to make a big prediction for the series, and I'm sure if I'm wrong, Ryan Addeo is going to clip this, and I'm never going to hear the end of it.
We will it'll be clipped if this is.
But
if this ages poorly, this will be clipped.
I think this is going to be a massive series for Giancarlo Stanton. He's been slumping a little bit since Judge has come off the IL. I don't think it's too concerning just because we know how Giancarlo Stanton plays in October. But I think this series can get him back on track. He knows what this series means for the Yankees just because they hate the Red Sox and what this series means going forward. I think he's going to put his best effort forward.
Yeah, and I mean, Stanton has always killed the Red Sox. I feel like I obviously don't have any numbers in front of me right now, but, I feel like he always tears it up. He loves the Green Monster. I don't think that that's a shock to the system. I would love to see Aaron Judge carry his hot hitting into the weekend. 2 home runs last night. I would love to see him push that momentum into this series and watch the Yankees take 1 or 2 of 3 here from Boston.
You mentioned Judge's 2 home runs last night, tying Joe DiMaggio for 5th place in Yankees home runs. Incredible.
It's incredible. It has 40-plus home runs again, 3rd season in a row. Just don't throw to Aaron Judge.
And I can't even believe that teams have continued to pitch to Aaron Judge.
I mean, earlier in the season, they started to walk him more. I think he started to have a little bit more struggle, so teams started to be like, all right, we can pitch to him a little bit, but don't pitch Aaron Judge. If you do, don't miss.
I think Ron Washington a few months ago walked him like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And he was just grinning at him the whole time because he knew. He was like, we're not in position to pitch to Aaron Judge. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, hey, the Angels know well. I mean, they had Ohtani over there for years, so they know greatness over there. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. Aaron Judge should be the MVP winner this year. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Oh, there's no question.
We'll get into that in a different episode, maybe talk about some awards, but yeah.
Well, Gavin, this looks like a good place to leave off for this week. Join us next week as we dive into what our ideal Yankees postseason roster, lineup, bullpen, front line looks like.
Everything, yeah.
All of that stuff. But until then, for Gavin Watson, I'm Jack Haskell. Thank you for watching Inside the Inning, brought to you by Afterthought Sports. We'll see you next week.
So I just click stop recording.